internet has a reputation for being unreliable, a place where rumors thrive, facts blur, and speculation spreads faster than truth. Sometimes what begins as an online mystery is not fiction at all. It is the first trace of a real crime. These are 5 cases where the internet was not merely reacting to the news, it was watching events unfold, documenting inconsistencies, and in some cases, witnessing crimes in real time. Case 1. Sherri Papini. When the internet noticed the story did not add up. On November 2, 2016, Sherri Papini went for a jog near her home in Shasta County, California. When she failed to return, her husband reported her missing. Her phone and earbuds were found abandoned along her running route. The case immediately drew national attention. A young mother had vanished in broad daylight. Search teams were deployed. Media outlets ran her photograph nonstop. For weeks, there were no confirmed sightings, no suspects, and no explanation. Then, 22 days later, Papini was found alive on the side of a rural highway. She claimed she had been abducted by 2 women, held captive, abused, and released without explanation. The story was dramatic, emotional, and horrifying. At first, the public responded with sympathy, but online, something else was happening. People began reading her statements closely. They compared timelines. They questioned how she was able to survive weeks of captivity with injuries that seemed inconsistent with her account. They noticed how certain details changed depending on when and where she spoke. None of this was official, but the questions did not stop. Forums and discussion boards filled with careful analysis rather than wild theories. Why would abductors release her? Why leave her phone staged so neatly? Why did medical professionals quietly note inconsistencies without public explanation? Law enforcement continued investigating behind the scenes. Years later, the truth was revealed. Papini had not been abducted. She had been staying voluntarily with a former romantic partner. The injuries were self-inflicted or staged. The disappearance was entirely fabricated. The internet did not solve the case, but it noticed something was wrong long before the official announcement. What many dismissed as online skepticism turned out to be early recognition of a false narrative. Case 2. Michelle Carter. When text messages became the crime scene. In 2014, Conrad Roy was found dead in his truck in a parking lot in Massachusetts. He had died by... At first, the case appeared tragic but uncomplicated. Then investigators accessed his phone. What they found was months of text messages between Conrad and his girlfriend, Michelle Carter. The messages revealed a disturbing pattern of encouragement, pressure, and emotional manipulation. Online, once the messages became public, debate exploded. People were not asking whether the messages were real. They were asking what they meant. Could repeated encouragement to die be considered a crime? Could words carry legal responsibility? Forums and comment sections dissected individual texts line by line. Some focused on mental health, others on moral responsibility. Many questioned whether the law was equipped to handle crimes that exist entirely in digital space. The case went to trial. Prosecutors argued that Carter's behavior crossed a line from passive communication into active participation. The defense argued that speech alone could not constitute a crime. The court disagreed. Michelle Carter was convicted of involuntary manslaughter based almost entirely on digital evidence. There was no physical crime scene, no eyewitnesses. The case lived inside message threads and timestamps. This was one of the first widely discussed cases where the internet recognized the severity of digital behavior before the legal system fully caught up. Case 3. Mark Twitchell. When an online fantasy became real violence. Mark Twitchell wanted to be a filmmaker. Online, he presented himself as creative, intelligent, and ambitious. He wrote stories, engaged in forums, and crafted narratives inspired by crime fiction. Behind the screen, he was planning something real. Using online dating platforms, Twitchell created fake profiles to lure a man to a rented garage under the pretense of a date. The garage had been carefully prepared. What was meant to happen inside was not fictional. After the murder, Twitchell attempted to erase his trail, but the internet had already preserved it. Investigators recovered search histories, email drafts, and fictional writings that mirrored the crime itself. His online persona, once a creative outlet, became a roadmap of intent. What made this case uniquely internet-driven was not online speculation, but online documentation. The same. Digital tools used to plan the crime provided investigators with irrefutable evidence. Twitchell's conviction relied heavily on his own digital footprint. The internet did not uncover the crime by accident. It recorded it step by step. Case 4. Bianca Devins. When the internet became the first witness in July of 2019, Bianca Devins was murdered by someone she knew. What made this case different was not how the crime occurred, but how it was discovered. Shortly after the murder, the perpetrator posted messages and images online. People encountered evidence of the crime before police had arrived at the scene. Users reported what they saw, warned others, and contacted authorities. The internet did not speculate, it reacted. Social platforms struggled to remove content quickly enough. Many users were exposed to material they never sought out. Law enforcement was alerted by people online, not by traditional witnesses. This case exposed a new reality. Crimes no longer wait to be discovered. Sometimes they announce themselves digitally. In the aftermath, discussions focused not just on the crime, but on platform responsibility, content moderation, and the psychological impact on those who became unwilling witnesses. This was not an internet mystery solved over time. It was a crime revealed instantly, in a space never meant to handle such events. Case 5. Peter Scully. When an internet myth turned out to be real for years, whispers circulated in the darkest corners of the internet about a video that many believed could not possibly exist. It was discussed cautiously, often dismissed as a hoax or an urban legend designed to shock. Most people refused to believe it was real, but investigators did not dismiss it. Through international cooperation and digital tracking, authorities uncovered the truth. The crimes were real, the victims were real, and the man responsible was Peter Scully. Scully was arrested and later convicted for producing and distributing extreme criminal material. The investigation revealed how disbelief allowed rumors to persist unchecked for years. This case stands apart because the internet did not exaggerate the danger. It underestimated it. Sometimes the most disturbing stories are ignored, not because they are false, but because they are too horrifying to accept. The internet is not reliable by default. It amplifies noise as easily as truth. But it is permanent. Messages are archived. Behavior patterns remain visible. Digital footprints do not fade with time. In these cases, the internet did not replace investigators or courts. It noticed inconsistencies. It preserved evidence. It revealed crimes that were unfolding or being ignored. Sometimes online communities are wrong, but sometimes they see what others are not ready to confront. And in a world where nearly every action leaves a digital trace, the truth often appears online long before it becomes official.